Welcome boys and girls. In today's video we're finishing up the 14 bolt full flow axle build for the square body overlander. We're going to be installing a Ruffstuff Specialties Diff cover with a lube locker gasket. Then we're going to be installing the axle shafts using the Stage 8 locking fasteners axle bridge bolt kit. So it should be straightforward and an easy install. So let's get into it. Well, before we get started installing everything, let's go over it a little bit. This is the Ruffstuff Specialties 14 bolt diff cover. It's extremely heavy duty, weighs over 20 pounds by itself, and it should be able to handle anything we throw at it and make the housing itself stronger just by bolting that to the front of it. We have the lube locker gasket for the 14 bolt full floater. I like these because it's a dry install, so I don't have to deal with RTV or anything like that. So once you have it on there, you can just torque the diff cover down to the spec and you should be good to go, and they are reusable. So just kind of sort of buy once, cry once with that. The Stage 8 locking fasteners are a pretty cool idea. They're a keyed bolt, so you could see the slot right there for the pin, and then they're splined so they key up to this metal piece that helps hold them in place. I guess this is the bridge. And from there, you push the pins on and it locks them in place so they don't wiggle loose and loosen on you. So once you have them torqued to the right spec and then put the bridges on there and the pins, they will not move at all and walk themselves free, which will cause differential fluid to leak out. And ultimately, if all of them walked free, then the axle shaft will just fall out. So that is a huge no-no. But yeah, with this kit, I got it for both sides, so it should be good. And they have a 100% success rate. If you install them right, they will not fail on you ever. And they make a lot of products like for exhaust manifolds, turbo kits, axles, like these flanges. They make locking hub kits that I will get for the Dana 60 when we build that out. So I'm extremely excited to have these installed, and it should look pretty cool on the axle. So we've gone over everything. The first thing we will do is get the diff cover on and tight, and then we'll keep going. All right, first step is got the lube locker gasket out of the box. Lines up just fine, zero issues there. The torque spec is 30 foot-pounds, and what I really like about the lube locker box also that it comes with is it shows the torque sequence on there, so which bolts to tighten first and whatnot. So I'm trying to get this diff cover manhandled over a little bit, and I'm gonna get a bolt already just through the top just to help hold the diff cover or the gasket in place on the diff cover, just like that. And from there, kind of get it lined up. I know this is an extremely heavy diff cover, weighing, I think it's like 22 pounds. So it's a little beefy, but I'm just gonna hold it in place and get a few of the bolts started by hand, and then from there I put the socket on an extension to help screw them on a little bit easier. So I'm just gonna get them not even snug, just kind of flush, just so they're in place. All right, got that one there. Just got them in place to hold the diff cover there, and then from there I could start the rest of the bolts and get them just flush, and then from there we'll go in the pattern that's on the box to get them torqued down. If I have any tips and tricks, I'll get you guys. If not, we will have a diff cover on the axle. All right, the diff cover is good to go. Everything's torqued down to 30 foot-pounds. I put a few washers behind this bracket so it's off the diff cover, but I was still able to torque it. And here is the brake line setup. Good to go. It's kind of off the housing a little bit there. I'm not a fan of that, but it should be just fine underneath the truck. So with the diff cover on there and good to go, let's start putting these axle shafts in there and install the Stage 8 locking fasteners kit. So now that we have the diff cover done, let's get these axle shafts in there using the Stage 8 locking fasteners. So before I even get into that, what I want to do is clean the face of the hub and the back of the axle shaft with acetone so it's as clean as humanly possible, because we have to RTV these two surfaces so it's a good seal, because there is no grease for these bearings. All of the bearings in the axle are lubed with the gear oil, so you need a good sealing surface so you don't leak gear oil out of your axle. So I'm going to take some acetone on a rag, wipe down the backside and the face of each side, and then from there we'll get to installing these. Just going to kind of dab it around, cover the whole flange, I guess flange, or hub face. Just get it all covered. With this, I know you don't have to go too crazy with the amount of RTV, because it's just gonna, a lot of it's just gonna sandwich out anyways when you push the axle shaft on there. So kind of a little goes a long way. And this had, when I pulled the axle shafts on it, had the original RTV, the red RTV, like what was on the water pump and stuff when I replaced the water pump on the truck. All right, twist it around. Yeah, just kind of dab it. This might be a ton, but whatever, that means it'll just seal up more. So the main reason why I went with this Stage 8 locking fasteners kit is because I really like the idea of it. And they're made here in the US, so you're supporting a US company. And they work with the military and a lot of stuff like that. And then a lot of companies and organizations like that. And with a 0% failure rate, I think it was kind of a no-brainer, because it's just one less thing to worry about with the truck maintenance wise. All right, I got it all smeared around. Now let me get this axle shaft back in place, hopefully. There we go. And I will line up the hub with the axle shaft, kind of smush it, and then we will start getting these bolts finger tight. I have to, there we go, get that one started. I'm gonna get them all just started by hand a little bit, and then from there we can just use the extension with the socket on it, like what I did with the diff cover, and just kind of just get them put all in there just snug, just enough to have it squeeze out, like kind of how it is now. That's what they call for on the directions. All right, we are back out here. It's been a little bit over an hour for the RTV to set up. All the little stuff that smashed out I wiped off, so it's just not a big old mess. But now it is time to torque it down to 115 foot-pounds. So I'm just going to go in a star pattern, getting these tight to 115, and then from there we will put on the little bridges and the clips for it. All right, now that we got both sides torqued down to 115 foot-pounds, now let's put these little bridges on. So putting on the bridges is pretty easy, but the only thing or issue I see with it is it may line up for one like that, but not with the other. So you would just kind of have to snug it up just a little bit more, then see if they key in, and just keep trying it like that. So that's the only little inconvenience I see. Right, we are done and good to go. All of the bridges and locking clips are on each side, and we are done with this project. Diff cover looks really good. I'm glad the brake line relocation like that worked out really well. Everything is torqued to spec. Then the axle shafts are torqued to spec. I let them sit. They're going to take 24 hours to cure, but it's going to be a little while till I get this axle in the truck, so we should be fine and good to go. I'm really excited about this kit because then I don't have to worry about these bolts backing out whatsoever, so it's just a maintenance-free part added onto the truck, unless I get a leak, but I doubt that would happen. But we are good to go. I really appreciate you guys watching. I will have links to Stage 8 Fasteners, Ruffstuff Specialties, and whatever other links down below in the description. I really appreciate you watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, you guys.